Hi everyone, 29th of September, it's a Friday, 33 minutes past 12 in the afternoon here in Australia. Here's my latest video blog. Got a few videos I'm going to be doing over the next few days. I've got an ICO that I'm going to cover, something of interest hopefully, and I'm also going to just cover today my top coin review based on just how I feel about certain cryptocurrencies after all of the events in 2017 and obviously the evolution of the market as we've seen it. So we've had quite a dynamic change to the ecosystem since March, April, May, even leading up to now, and there's been a lot more I suppose interest, and we've seen the whole capital market cap, or sorry, the market cap actually increased to new levels, and it's all very, very exciting. So I wanted to cover top coin reviews and reasons why, and why, what I can see in the future. But this is not financial advice, it's just me expressing how I see things, and it's more got to do with this is what my view is and what my world looks like from my side of things, and obviously in regards to my own investments and things like that. It's always good to do a bit of self-analysis and look back and review what you've done and where you put your money in, and make sure that your decisions are still in line or aligned with how you felt initially with all the new information. So I've also got a little review in regards to what I can see happening in the next 3 months leading up to the 1st of January in 2018, and just sort of maybe a little bit of insight on what could occur based on some news. And the other one is the warning on ICOs. Now I think there's a lot of negative stuff on the ICOs, and there's different viewpoints, and I think the first viewpoint would be some people without too much experience have come into this entire market, maybe a little bit younger, maybe maybe millennials, people born after the .com bubble who didn't or haven't invested before, who have invested in some ICOs and they haven't gone as well as they expected, or they bought on a high in the period where March, April, after the first initial boom, and they were watching their investments dive bomb, and that they've been in the red for the last couple of months, and there's a lot of emotion, and I understand that, and it's not about empathy or feeling sorry for people. You've got to show due diligence in regards to where you put your money in. And I always say you've got to look at the entire market as a whole. There is absolutely no doubt that individual assets and investments will have their own ecosystem, but you need to understand that the entire market or sector that it's within has its own bubble. I don't like using that word, but its own little environment, and if that environment is affected by outside circumstances, you will find that it can actually affect everything that's within it. So you always got to look out. So when you're looking at graphs and things like that, look back. So the warning I have with the ICOs is make sure you do your research. Be aware that it's like the .com bubble where people were just investing in any website with .com on the end of the addresses and getting invested in the whole excitement of the internet. And a lot of assets and investments actually did quite well. And I've talked about this in previous videos. Things like eBay and Amazon and all these other online websites that we've seen even evolve over the last 17 years have done very, very well. But there was thousands that didn't, and they had a lot of IPOs where they generated a lot of initial income from offerings, and what happened was that they didn't go anywhere. They thought that the capital would allow them to generate traffic and be able to do what they needed to do to be successful, but that didn't happen. A lot of people lost a lot of money at the .com bubble, and this is no different, absolutely no different. And I'm sure that I'm going to be looking back in a couple of years' time, and maybe some of my decisions weren't as good. So far I'm actually feeling pretty comfortable with it, and I'm going to run through, but just be aware when you're investing, have a look at certain key fundamentals, and I think it's got to come down to, and the reason why I've got this picture here is that understand the ecosystem of crypto assets or currencies. And first we had Bitcoin, then it went to the currencies, and then it's gone to asset management, media and advertising, gambling and gaming, infrastructure and development, computing and storage. There's trading platforms, there's exchanges and wallets, there's browsers and social media platforms, there's crowdfunding and lending, there's prediction markets, healthcare and insurance, identity and Internet of Things, there's payments and banking platforms, there's financial services. So all of these different aspects of the ecosystem, and they're not new terms. We see that now in regards to the internet, but I think the whole premise of blockchain is that it speeds things up. It allows a diverse connection of smart technology and cybersecurity to come into one. It's a lot more efficient, and I think that's what the main premise of and excitement is around blockchain, and that's why and what you should be investing in is maybe in regards to your portfolio is make sure you've got the key fundamental crypto assets that are going to be more successful in long term. And I think the platforms, so not always the ones that come first, just because you came first in the space doesn't mean you're going to be successful. But I think the platforms such as EOS and you've got Stratus and Neo and these sort of things, and I will run through that, and Ethereum, of course, and reasons why I think choosing these particular cryptocurrencies are going to be worth your while in the long run. But just be mindful with the ICOs. I think you've got to do a little bit more work. Because the big thing is, even though the ICO or the particular sector looks really exciting, I think you'll find that a lot of them may not do as well in returns to the return of your investment, because that they don't attract as big a market share as, say, a platform or a currency or one that just does their better marketing. An accounting platform may do really well in certain areas, and it might attract a certain market niche. The same with gambling. Not everyone gambles. However, if the gambling platform and the financial services are on something like EOS, obviously EOS is going to benefit from the entire ecosystem of all those decentralized apps, etc., etc. So, and I'm going to run through my top list, trying to articulate what I mean here, in the sense that I know, and I think I've explained that pretty well. You've got to be choosing diligently where you put your money, especially if you haven't done this before. There's a lot of young people out there who are probably spending money that they don't have, and I just want to make sure that you're doing the right things. Now, the forecast for the next 3 months, just before I go into my top coin review, what I can see happening in a nutshell, China's out of the equation at the moment. I can see them coming back in with new regulations, and we could see 50 billion plus come back into the market as quickly as over a couple of days. And it could be just something phenomenal that we can't even grasp. I think the market cap at the moment, if I just click on here, is sitting around about 144. Now, when China was in, supposedly, was around about 175, 176 at its best here, okay? So when they come back in, when are they going to come back in? I think at the maybe beginning of the year, or 2018, could be earlier. And I think if they do come back in, I think it'll be a bit of a surprise. And it might even be a 24-hour thing where they just say, it's here. And all of a sudden there'll be this amazing panic to the market. And I think just even with the regulations of China, you'll probably find that there will be new money come in as well, because I think that it'll increase the confidence of the entire space and legitimise it. And that may even bring more attention and confidence from other markets, like even European markets and Southeast Asian markets and those type of things. So China coming back in, I think a big explosion. When? Next 3 months? Could be longer. We've got a hard fork in November. I think we're going to have some FUD. I really believe October is going to be really positive. I think the first couple of weeks of October are going to be really positive. And the reason being is we had the first shark tooth, second shark tooth, we had the first initial pullback from the March, May, June period right down to a low. Then we had the next shark tooth and it came back down. We had the hard fork 1st of August, then we had the China FUD, came right back. That hit the bottom. Now we're at the back. And these two little comebacks here, or bounces, look very, very similar. And I do believe we're about to see another one of these occur very shortly in the next, say, 30 days. And what we may see from that is a major influx into Bitcoin. Now, when Bitcoin starts to go on a run, what happens is other cryptocurrencies tend to come down a little bit because people move their funds into Bitcoin or sell it into Bitcoin, hold the Bitcoin, find a high, sell it, move it into a Tether or the US, wait for it to drop, and then come back in the market, and then the alts go up. And there seems to be this little relationship going on. And that's what I've seen the last 6 months. We've seen that happen twice. 2 big Bitcoin surges. Alts don't go anywhere, or maybe just come back a little bit, even though they go up because they're pegged, but they come back as people ride the train, okay? And that's what does happen. Big boys tend to move into, and the traders and day traders tend to follow where the money and the volume is, okay? So being mindful of that. So I think October, right? It's the 29th of September, first 2 weeks, and then there's going to be some FUD about the next hard fork, you know. And the entire financial markets are driven by emotional influences. So what that means is we're going to see, you know, because of the hard fork in November, no one really knows what's going to happen. They're talking about Bitcoin Gold is the next one. I don't think it's got a lot of mining behind it, so it's not quite like a Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash, where you've got Yihan News, Yihan's Bitmain mining pool behind the Bitcoin Cash, so it might not do as well in the long term, but we'll see. So being mindful, there may be a big retracement period or panic or FUD or, you know, media rubbish that we've seen in the last couple of months happen in November. Now I need to confirm when the actual date of the hard fork is. If someone knows that, put it in the comments. The next one is Christmas, December. So December's always pretty, you know, people tend to grab their money and they spend it, traditionally, okay? So, and I think you'll find that even in all markets, there's going to be a pullback for those 2 weeks before the 1st of January as people go on holidays, school holidays. People are spending money doing stuff, you know, and they're buying presents and things. So they're not necessarily holding their money in their stock markets or wherever they've got it, cryptocurrency. So I would expect a bit of a dip or a pullback or a retracement from November, December, leading into the 1st of January. And then I think 2018, January is going to explode. And I've seen that. 2016, gold, silver, crypto markets pretty much took off. Same with 2017, same sort of thing. We saw this, you know, new energy enter the space. So be prepared for some excitement in 2018. Then we're going to see massive, and this entire time is an accumulation phase. That's how I look at it. Growth, pullback, sell off, buy in a low, buy more. And that's what the big boys are doing, because they're getting ahead. They know what's going to happen in 2019, 2020. We're in an S-curve. Don't worry about bubbles. I don't believe we're in a bubble. I believe we're in an S-curve. Okay, we're at the bottom of an S-curve of new technology, regardless of prices and volume, and, you know, regardless of what these people are saying about bubbles of Bitcoin and it's going to pop and things like that. Sure, we've seen it pull back, you know, to a degree, $200, $300, $400 at a time. That's called volatility, not necessarily because of a bubble. So I believe what we're going to see is an exponential growth somewhere between 2019, 2020, and it might take 3-4 years. This could be a 10-year growth. This S-curve could be exponential, okay? Now, I don't see any of the big boys talking about using that term S-curve. They like using bubble because they want to apply fear and doubt, because they don't want this market to go too fast. They don't want the mainstream getting in too early and taking away their cream, okay? Any of the diligent people who are, one, got a bit of courage, two, do all the research. Go and research S-curves, okay? I've done a heap of blogs on them on my Steem in relation to this entire space. And that's what I believe we're seeing, not just with just Bitcoin's ecosystem on its own, but the entire market capitalization, including altcoins as a whole, is going to exponential. But we're going to get what we call laggers. Now, the laggers are the people come in late. They've heard about their mates buying in, you know, 5 years before. They never really got off their butt to go and do any research. And this is the problem with humans at the moment, is that we're so distracted with everything. We're not doing what we need to be doing to get ahead. And life's not just about money, but it's got to do with anything. Learning, knowledge, education, experiences, you know, looking past the politics and government rubbish that we deal with. You've got to go and look and understand these things, and that takes diligence. So S-curve explosion 2019, 2020 plus, probably for the next 5 years. So anyone that's going to accumulate the key and the best and the most fundamental cryptocurrencies over the next 12 months starting today is going to do pretty well. Okay, that's going to happen. I can't see that not happening. So that's what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to go into my top coin review. Sorry for rambling. I'm trying to go a little bit faster just to make sure this doesn't go for too long. Okay, now this is in no real order, and it's there's no shilling here. This is just, I thought I'd do this because people ask me, what's your top 5? What's your top 10? I'm in a couple. I've created my own Telegram group as well. I should put a link in my comments so people can come and join it. I've only just started it. If you want to come and have a chat with me in there, that'd be cool. And we'll get some conversations going. I'm not interested in Moon and Lambo or any of that. I'm interested in having like decent conversations. So the first one is Bitcoin. Okay. Not Bitcoin. Well, it's not rocket science. Okay, the first one is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the mother of the beast. They're going to be getting smart contracts. It's pegged to everything. There's no doubt there might be an evolution to Bitcoin in the future. But the thing is, everything in regards to the marketing of crypto space comes back to Bitcoin. If we went and did an interview on the streets and asked people, what do you know about cryptocurrencies? Do you know what it is? You know, a lot of them probably wouldn't. 8 out of 10 might not know what it is, but I think a lot more people are recognising and understanding what Bitcoin is. So some of the terminology, and they know that they can identify with the logo and those type of things. So Bitcoin, I believe, is going to exponential in the next few years, just because, like I said, it's the first point of call. Whether you want to go to an exchange or the Bitcoin wallets and things like that, and some people, like I've said in previous videos, are only going to go into Bitcoin because they're not interested in trading or looking at altcoins. But that just on the advice of a family member, they might put some money into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's going to explode over the next 5 years and to phenomenal levels, I believe. And everyone should be stacking their Bitcoin, I believe, to a degree. Okay, you should have a little offline wallet, secure all your passwords, and just keep chipping away. A bit like you should be doing that with gold and silver as well. Okay, you still got to live your life. I get that. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. That's what you should be stacking. Don't just go digital. Okay, you must get some physical. Bitcoin, the mother of the beast. Next one. Bitcoin Cash. Now, when I first saw this, I was initially not that excited by it, and I'm not going to say that this is a must, and none of this is advice, by the way. This is just sharing an opinion. Bitcoin Cash was this fork that occurred on August 1st. Yihan Wu from China, big mining pool, disagreed with some others, and they split. That's in essence what happened. Different technology, different direction. China has, it's obviously in China, these big warehouses, got lots of money, lots of connections. I feel, all right, and there has been a little bit of talk about the possibility with the new regulations of China that China tries to control their own ecosystem of cryptocurrencies, and it may include Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash may become Bitcoin China in the sense, not necessarily by the name, but in regards to sort of like a state of ownership. Maybe some of the regulations that China is writing up will point back to Bitcoin Cash. So some of the exchanges that they've asked to shut down, maybe they'll say, well, we based on regulations, we would like Bitcoin Cash to be the preferred peg. So what happens is people have to then start buying into Bitcoin Cash to then start buying their alts on the Chinese exchanges and maybe some others. And because of regulations and the China's geopolitical background, you may find that in itself is going to exponentially grow Bitcoin Cash. So I think that Bitcoin Cash could be a sleeping giant. So I'm going to be starting to stack it over the next few months in preparation for not only hard forks and things like that, but more for this China regulation comeback. But go do your own research on that. I'd like to hear what people think of that concept, that Bitcoin Cash becomes Bitcoin China, and it obviously becomes the main focus. Number 3, no surprises, back to China, NEO. Okay, now NEO is like EOS in the sense I wouldn't like to compare it in regards to technology, but I will compare it in regards to decentralized application platform, which means that all the other applications build on top of NEO, okay? So, and there's lots of these different platforms. We've got EOS, which I think is bee's knees. You've got NEO, which is going to be central to the Chinese ecosystem. So a lot of Chinese applications will be built on NEO, and it's probably going to explode. It should explode to its own level. I mean, China's got a lot of money. It seems to have got through this entire FUD of China. It did get hammered. It got down well under 20 Australian dollars, and it's made a bit of a comeback in the last couple of days. But don't ignore NEO. Go and do your research on that. If you're interested in the platforms, you know, Ethereum, NEO, EOS, Stratus, Digibyte, those type of, you know, there's others. It was on my little picture, but I'll just leave it at that. NEO's number 3. Number 4, EOS. It's very, very hard to go past EOS. Still got a long way to go in regards to their token distribution. Now, a lot of people question why they're doing it. This is the sole reason. Get all the tokens out. No mining. Get it into the hands of the most diverse amount of people across the world as possible. Creates ownership of the platform, creates traffic. It creates a distribution base that will support EOS once it goes live, and it's very, very close to going live. I think it already is. Developers are already taking the software and doing different things with it. Even I'm looking at doing something in the future on EOS, which I'm not going to share with you right now, but EOS, go do your research. It's an Ethereum times 100 in regards to speed and transaction capacity, as well as scalability. They do a parallel programming and stuff like that, and Dan Larimer is very, very open in the Telegram group, so I've said a lot of stuff about it. I think that there's a lot of legs to it. It's around about $1 Australian, without giving advice, because that's not what I do. Look into it. I do believe that it's worth having some, because I do, for $1, you know, you've got NEO at $30, you've got Ethereum at $400. I'd be very, very surprised if EOS at some stage in the next 10 years is not triple figures, right? That's a nice big broad viewpoint there, right? So, I mean, whenever you look at investments, it's not going to be next week, okay? They've still got three months or whatever it is more to go on their token distribution. So they've got a little bit of work to do, or time to build up, but I think you may find that their price is going to slowly creep up from here as they start releasing new information. So EOS is my 4th one. The other one with NEO is that there's NEO Gas, which I think you get sort of like staking. When you've got the wallet open on NEO, you do get gas. And I've slowly been building that up, and you can actually buy it on the exchanges as well. So just keep your eye on that one. It's almost the same price as NEO on the markets, and it doesn't get talked about as much. So it's there as well. Next one is Verge. Now, Verge is a speculator. It's under a cent. Verge is a decentralized cryptocurrency with one of the biggest communities, a very, very good development team. And it's actually grown very, very strongly in the last couple of months, and they've got some very aggressive marketing personnel, if you like, who are go-getters, very well-spoken, intelligent people who, you know, want to see the best for this particular cryptocurrency. So it's one of those penny dazzlers in regards to price. I'm pretty heavy on Verge, I'll admit it. I've just got a lot of faith in it. I've actually contacted some other companies that I deal with to implement and integrate Verge into their infrastructure, because I've got a membership base here. I'd like to be able to offer Verge as a currency and be able to set up direct debits and things for my members. So I'll be doing my bit with Verge to try to bring it into the mainstream through using their technology. There's a lot of information in here. You can go and read it. It is a penny dazzler. I mean, it's always nice to have millions of something. I mean, there's going to be 16 billion coins. I think it's probably three to 5 years away from being mature. However, due to the S-curve that I was talking about in regards to the entire space, you may find that in the next 12 months, when silly money comes into this space from a new level, I mean, China's got to come back, and we're going to see Bitcoin double and all of these things. I think you may find that this one will be worth having in your portfolio somewhere. And I really do have a lot of time for the currencies now, because I think I think most of us want to see a move away from the banks as much as possible, and if we can set up gateways and bridges and decentralized exchanges, and even like I said, systems where we can actually pull money from memberships and retail and all those things, you may find that we can do it. And you become your own bank. It's private, and there's a lot of positives to it. Next one is DigiByte. Now, I'll admit, DigiByte has been a little bit frustrating, a little bit annoying. I know some people will be shaking and nodding with me, going, "Yep." Especially those, now not necessarily for me because I bought in early, so I got up to the top, got very excited, and watched it come down, really retraced. But that's no surprise. It's got 16 billion coins as well. I think it was 21 million. I can't quite billion. Sorry. So it's got a long way to go to get all the coins out. And there was a lot of initial excitement. It's a platform as well, so it's a decentralized blockchain, very fast, scalable. They've worked out they can get 200,000 transactions per second or something by the year 2030. It builds up based on that. People can build apps on top of DigiByte blockchain. I think DigiSign came out last week, which is an application which I think is available on Apple Store. So you can, a bit like LITECOIN in the sense that you can, or a Dropbox, or those type of companies where you put your information in. So if you go overseas with you want a photo or a birth certificate copy or something, you can bring it up and it's all there on the cloud with encryption, very very secure and that type of stuff. And DigiByte's got a lot of positives. But I think the only thing that's lacking, and I know they've got a new website launching in the next 2 days, so this is the old website, so if you come back on the 1st of October, or the 2nd of October, depending on where you're living, you may find the new website with a whole heap of new information, some exciting stuff. But what I'd like to see with DigiByte is a little bit more marketing towards the apps. I'd like to see more developers get involved to really take DigiByte to the next level. And I think this is the thing, a lot of people are spoiled in the sense that they just expect easy money from their investments. There's no doubt that these type of ones that are going a little bit slower, because they've got the infrastructure there, the technology's there, and you've got active people doing what they need to do. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. So DigiByte in 12 months' time might be $100. You just don't know. But it's going to come back to people actually using the actual blockchain for their decentralized app. So it's still in my portfolio. I've still got a little bit of a soft spot for it, but you don't ever fall in love with your investments because that'll always hurt. But you do have to actually engage and I suppose show interest and actually believe in the concepts. Otherwise you're investing in a wish. Next one is Bitshares. Bitshares is very similar to, I suppose, DigiByte in regards to the emotions. It did take off. I know they've got new websites and things coming. They are integrating Bitshares into a lot of applications around the world. I think there's BlockPay and certain things like that. So as a currency, it's available. There's a decentralized exchange where you can trade different cryptocurrencies and you can put your Bitcoin in there and do all of that, just like a Bittrex, but it's not owned by anyone. And I really like that. It's fast, very efficient. One of the fastest cryptocurrencies like Steem and EOS, but made by the same blokes. And you'll find that I do believe there's a big future for Bitshares. Stan Larimer, who's behind it, he's still doing a lot of work. I think he's a little bit diluted at the moment in regards to his attention. That's how I feel about it. I think that you've got the Bitshares, and then there's Hero, and then there's all these other things he's trying to get going. And I think he needs to just focus on delivering a package that the mainstream will understand, because sometimes I have a look at some of the websites and things, it's a little bit confusing in the sense that it's a bit of dilution of brand, and I think that's the biggest thing. Anyone who's listening on the dev team of Bitshares or Hero, I know they're separate to a degree, but you're talking about the same bubble, same ecosystem. So Bitshares, I do believe, is a currency and has a future. They've got, when you can do a lot of research, there's a lot of stuff on Steemit.com. When you go and look up Bitshares, they've got lots of stuff on YouTube and a lot of big community, so a lot of positives. But again, it might take 2 or 3 years. I think it's sitting around about 10 cents Australian. It's one of those things, you've got to believe in it. And I've put mine there and I'm holding it, and I do use the decentralized exchange. Next one is Steem. Now, Steem is not necessarily one for regards to, this whole thing is not just about how much money you're going to make from your investment. It's talking about the future and what they can deliver to society. Now, what I like about Steem is you can earn money from blogging. Now, I do my little videos and I post and I put some pictures and I share and I communicate with people and I reward people for engaging with my blogs. I always upvote them unless it's a spam one. I'll just ignore it. But most of the time, it's healthy. People are making quite a lot of money and living off their Steem because they might have quite a good following, or they've got a market niche bit of information, whether it's in healthcare or market services or just life, travel, all that type of stuff. So if you're really into writing and things like that, Steemit.com, I can't fault it. And I'm sure it's going to improve, and all sorts of different features will manifest over the next few years. They've got a very good development team. But again, it's fast, and if you earn your Steem, you can always go and sell it on the markets and convert it to Bitcoin or cash and do whatever you need to do. Like anything, it does take a little bit of time to build up your portfolio, but the value of Steem as well as a cryptocurrency should take off, and I know that it is being integrated into other applications like BlockPay and things like that. What have I got? PIVX. I think there's in regards to the privacy coins, there seems to be a bit of a war going on, and I think it's more community stuff, and I think that's pretty natural. It's a bit of like a team thing, I'm invested in PIVX, Monero, Verge, so I'm neutral. I'm invested in these companies. I'm not I could wear a Verge shirt today, or I could wear a PIVX one tomorrow, but there's no doubt I think Verge will be probably the #1 privacy coin after Wraith protocol comes out next week. But it's a very evolving space, and there's positives to all of that. If you don't know what Wraith protocol is, go and have a little look. It's going to be pretty much a switch where you can change the settings within your space for different types of levels of security, whether that's complete invisibility from IP addresses through transactions, or if you want a bit of both, you can. I think they're even talking about being able to close your account off the ledger. So I can see a lot of positives of that, and I'm sure that protocol will evolve. In regards to PIVX, look, they've got a really good team, big community, and they've got the way they've set their ecosystem up, because it is decentralized. There's money coming in to go towards marketing and things like that. Pretty cool branding, and I know they've got point of sale devices, and all sorts of things are starting to manifest. So there's probably a very good future for PIVX, as are all of these, especially the currency-based ones, PIVX and Monero and Verge and some of the others that consider themselves as currency only, or mainly a currency, I think will do well. So PIVX, go and do your research on that. Pillar wallet. Now, Pillar, at the moment, it's pretty much just a concept. They've been doing a lot of design concepts. I know they've got a new wallet coming out for people to view and trial, and they're going to manifest and grow on top of that. They've got a very good communication base. I get a lot of emails. They've got very active on YouTube, and there's lots of positives to this. So I invested in it. I did some early videos on it. The thing about this entire space is that you might see Pillar get some, and there's other wallets out there, and that's like anything. There's going to be competition. I'm very interested in this project for the whole concept of a smart wallet, and that's what I want. I really want a smart wallet on my console, or on my wherever we can put it, on my phone, or something's really, really secure. It has my whole life in it. Pretty much. I want to be able to control all my cryptocurrencies in one space, and it could be my information. I could have my data. I could have my appointments. I could have all sorts of stuff. I could even do live feeds to people, and my YouTube or whatever it is, all through this amazing portal as such. And that's what I think that's their vision for the wallet, and I think that's what the evolution of blockchain is that we'll have one space, and I think that's the future, is one little window where we go in and everything else is inside that. That's what Pillar is to me. So smart wallets, definitely. Populous. Now, Populous, I bought some Populous. I didn't get in on the ICOs. I didn't do a video on it or anything like that. They're updating their website, so it looks a bit boring. But thing about Populous, it's about using your existing, if you're a small to medium business, or I think even larger, and you've got invoices with a credit term, 30 days, 120 days, etc., and you're waiting for the money to roll back in. Obviously, cash flow can be affected. You know, these particular services where you can actually on-sell your invoices to a network of people invested, and I think that's how Populous will work, similar to what PayPal is going to be doing. So you can actually obtain more cash flow earlier than what you would normally do in traditional methods, which kills so many small businesses. And it's affected me in the past, where I was waiting for other people to pay me, and and then you've got to always explain to your connections why you can't pay a bill, because you're always waiting for someone else. And it was quite a horrible type of space, and I think that affects a lot of the retail, in particular wholesale companies around the world, where they've got small to medium businesses who've got their own issues and cash flow problems, and obviously when market influences, it can be quite horrible. So if you can maximise your potential through invoicing and things like that, I think that's the future. Populous is not the only one. There's going to be others, such as PayPal. I did a video on this the other day. They've got an ICO opening up. PayPal is also going to integrate their accounting. Now, accounting is going to enable you to enter all your information in a format that will give you a ranking, which will put you up the list, which will allow creditors and risk assessments to be able to ascertain whether or not you're feasible for borrowing or lending pretty much instantaneously based on a score. And obviously, if PayPal can get their ratings up, or their accountability, or what would you call it, reputation up, I think you'll find there will be a number of major lenders who use PayPal, just like PayPal. And that's why I've got a bit of a feeling about this one. In the sense that I think in 10 years, 15 years time, we look back, we might go, wow, it's integrated in a lot of things, and people will go, oh, what's your PayPal ranking? And you just go, oh, I'm a 95. Oh, well, you can have $100,000. There you go. And that's how pretty much the future may actually be, because that's how everything's going to speed up through blockchain. There's going to be a lot more security and a lot more accountability and a lot more of the ability to be able to translate information a lot better, especially for lending. So PayPal is a lending, invoice, accounting, blockchain ranking system. So I really like the sound of it. ICO's on at the moment, but again, who knows? Dot-com bubble, a lot of people crashed, remember? So we've got to be positive about our decisions, and they can only come from within. Now, Skincoin, that's not a very good sign, is it? I think this is probably the wrong website. Oh, I'm just going to guess here. We'll see if this is it. No. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. I did have Skincoin. Maybe they've gone. Maybe this is the first one to dive bomb. Not sure. I think I just got the address wrong. But thing about so I'll come back to that in a sec. But Sonim is the next one. Sonim and Golem. I'll put them together. Essentially, I think this is about 2 to 3 years away. Supercomputer organised network, all the smart technology connecting as one Skynet end of the world. Could happen. It's possible. But I can see this type of technology being something that really boosts our hash rate and power across the world, speeds everything up. Obviously, it allows the big boys to spy on us more. So there's the duality of all of this. You've got all the, it's not conspiracies, it's just a reality, it's true. They want to be able to nail down people so they can control their empire. But at the other side of this, there's going to be a lot of convenience and a lot of amazing things and potential for the human race through the the Sonim and Golem type of concepts. And I don't know if there's any others out there that they're the only two I know. And anyone knows of another one based on supercomputer organised networking, let me know and put that in the comments. But I think that those particular entities may do well in the future. There's Golem. They came out first. They're on the Ethereum, and they're still pretty cheap. And I just think it will take 3 or 4 years to get it together, because I think there's a lot more infrastructure and a lot more relationship building to get across first before they can have any great success. because just due to the nature of the size of their concept. I do have Stratus here. I'm sort of not into Stratus, but I just got it here for the sake that I wanted to talk about quickly the platforms I think are going to do best initially. So you've got the currencies, because mainstream, you've got more people who want to use currencies, right? So that sort of appeals to a greater market niche. Then you've got the platforms like the Ethereums, Stratus, Neo, EOS. Even when Bitcoin gets its RSK smart contracts in place, you could almost say Bitcoin will become a platform. And there's some others. I've seen quite a few others that are out there, but they may not do as well. I think these ones that have got a culture and have got some initial community behind them will probably do well. But they're only going to do as well as the decentralized apps or the apps that are built on top of them. So like I said with DigiByte and Stratus, if they don't get applications building on top of them to any great degree, I don't see them exploding or being as popular as, say, some others. I mean, if you have a look at Ethereum, it's got its own breathing ecosystem now because it's got so many applications running through it. So that's the main one I wanted to talk to you about, was the platforms and the currencies. I did talk about gaming, and I was going to talk about skin. Now, I'm going to just look it up, just skin coin. Now, I'm just going to interrupt the flow of my video here. It's actually skincoin.org. So, phew, they're still here. I invested in this on a whim. It was on the last day of the ICO, and they got to do with skins and gaming and things like that. There was initial talk about gaming. You got gaming credits, and I looked at game credits, and it didn't interest me too much because of the games that they had attracted. It was sort of, they would look like B-grade games and that type of stuff. But I think the companies that get involved, not necessarily just as a cryptocurrency, but other services, and that's what Skincoin is looking at doing in regards to getting involved in some of the other gaming and making it profitable. And I think they're also doing some trading and so all sorts of different stuff. There's going to be a skin exchange service and stuff like that. But I think I've got that right. I'm talking about gaming. If I've got it wrong, that's a bit weird of me to do that. But I did get in on skin. Yeah, here we go. It's a universal cryptocurrency in the gaming industry. So, DigiByte initially talked about that, and I think they are going to make a comeback on that. There's no real base there at the moment, and someone did a third-party website, and I sort of get that. But Skincoin game credits, and there's probably a couple of others. Is it First Blood? I think, off the top of my head, they're invested in making sure that they can have an internal cryptocurrency. Now, there's no doubt that Sony and these PlayStation might come out with their own, but it's probably in their interests to get involved in a third party who can get across all of them without brand dilution, because you can't really see PlayStation Coin working too well on Sony or Xbox and those type of things, whereas Skincoin could probably go across and have a neutral position, and it becomes the thing. So Skincoin, I wanted to, not necessarily Skincoin, but gaming credits or gaming cryptocurrencies, the ones that work. But that could apply to Verge. It could apply to DigiByte. It could apply to any of the other cryptocurrencies that decide to create APIs or whatever it is that's required to get into these games, whether it's inbuilt or if it's actually part of a skin, I suppose, or an ID browser type scenario where you can send money internally and externally as rewards or otherwise. So that's all I wanted to do. Bitcoin Cash, Neo, EOS, Verge, DigiByte, Bitshares, Steem, PIVX, Pillar, Populous, PayPi, financial-based cryptocurrencies or assets, and then you've got the cryptocurrencies, then you've got the gaming sector, you've got the supercomputers, get to connect all the smart devices. Then you've got the platforms. I think they're the big ones. EOS, Neo, I think they're the two big ones that I'm looking at now. Stratus, I'm sort of iffy, but I think Stratus might have enough legs to do as well as EOS and Neo. Ethereum's there, but I think some issues that I have with Ethereum is that there's some scalability issues from all the stuff I'm reading. I think EOS is even creating an ability dApps that are on Ethereum to be able to come over to EOS. Don't quote me on that, but it's possible. So I think that's what they're talking about, you know, and I don't think that's intentional. It's talking about making their platform scalable to future requirements and advancements in the technology. And you've got to be able to handle lots of information. And if they've already got issues now at the beginning of the S-curve of cryptocurrency assets, I think you've got an issue in regards to your product. So yeah, that's all. I'm going to leave that at that. Just remember the warnings on the ICOs. Be mindful. Forecast, big October, 2 or 3 weeks. FUD, Christmas, 2018, wham bam. Be early, meanings accumulate. Do what you can. Don't spend anything you can't afford going into 2018, 2019, 2020, 2025. You're in now. I think you're going to be set, and you should have a nice retirement fund. But again, don't spend what you don't have. But you know what? You've got to take a risk. I have, and it's paid off so far. Don't watch it every day. It does your head in. Let me know what you think in the comments about this, what your favourite coins are. I'm sure I've got more. That's just what I wrote down quickly, and I'll keep sharing with you what I think. I'm going to do another video soon on Spectre, only because I'm interested in doing some trading, and I found some stuff, and I spoke to a guy that I've been talking to on email, and he said, hey, do you want to do a video on it? And I'm going to. So tune in to the next video on that. Let me know what you think in the YouTube comments. Smash in Jago at Steem it, and I've got a Telegram group. There's only 2 people in it. It's a bit boring at the moment. It's just me. You know, I'm not sure where it would lead. I think it's called Crypto Assets and something. Let me pull it up. What have I got? Where have I got? Where is it? Nothing's amazing as yet. Crypto news and insights. So it's me and no one else. Well, it's got Koshin in it. So if you want to come and join me there, we might start something. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching, guys, and tune in to my next video. Thanks.